Today I actually did some witch altar spring cleaning because I have just this one section in my bedroom that's just dedicated to all of my herbs and my crystals and everything. And it just somehow becomes the collector of my jewelry and my books and my pajamas and my socks. And
I
it
was
becomes a
with you
collector.
on the books and the
Yes,
jewelry.
right. I have
You're like
everything.
my bras and my sweaters.
Oh, but like everything ends up at the same spot. So when I was out today and I bought a 2 drawer little on sale cabinet. So I wanted this so I could have a perfect spot for my sage and my abalone shells and my incense and my Palo Santo. It's perfect. It has a home. All of these things are now nicely organized. I felt like I finally got my shit together today, Wendy. My altar looks beautiful. I've got all of my products. I have a product shelf. I had my witch balls here, and then I had oils upstairs, and then I had shit in the kitchen. I just have like
Yeah.
things spread out.
That's why I have a whole fucking room because
I
I
love
had
that.
shit everywhere. A
Everywhere.
cabinet in my bedroom, here in the kitchen, a little bit in this room, and then I'm finally like, gotta grab all of this. It must go. I took my children's dressers away and I took their desk away. They were old. They've had these since they were little, and the drawers were like falling off and stuff. And I was like, you don't need this anymore. Here's a basket. Put your underwear in there.
Right.
I need this to hold soap. So
Right. Yeah, for sure. You absolutely do need shelving. So I'm
yeah,
glad that you were able to steal that from your children and give them baskets. I mean, they're boys. They don't need
they don't fucking
shelf.
care.
Yeah,
They just
exactly.
dig through there and wear the same 3 pairs of underwear you always seem to dig out or
I
whatever.
know.
I don't know what you're doing.
How do they do that? You're absolutely right. Tyler and Brandon both have a drawer full of shit, but I'm constantly flushing the same damn ones. Like me, I need a little variety. I'll go to the bottom of the drawer every now and then and pull something out I haven't seen in a while. I need to spice things up a little bit. My camera just jolted. Sorry. You don't want to see all of that.
I think your ghost is a pervert. And it's like,
You know what?
show him the goods, Chris.
I done a lot of saging in the house, and I've done some blessings and stuff. And honestly, it has been super quiet. Like nothing is going on here anymore.
I have never fully saged my house either. And I did that like 6 months ago. It feels so different here. I
It
feel
really does.
different. I mean, that is so weird. And I know this isn't like therapy session, but it was.
Yes, it is.
I never thought that anything was bad in my house, but something is different here. I'm different here now. It's really, really weird. And when I did the saging, there was a spot in my house that when I got there, it's like you could feel the resistance. So.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I had kind of the opposite. I had an area that for whatever reason I kept like going to and saging, and I'm like, I already saged this corner of my room. Why am I here again? Like I kept finding myself back in that area, almost like I was being drawn to it. So I kept going to that one particular corner, which is actually in my bedroom. And I'm not even going to fucking lie to you, Wendy. When I'm in bed and Pandora's laying in bed with me, that's where she's fucking staring when she's in my bed. So, and it didn't even occur to me while I was saging. I'm saging the house. I'm doing this blessing. I'm cleaning, and this is what needs to be done. And I kept going to that one spot, but everything has just been super quiet here. Nothing is happening. And that's interesting that you almost had kind of like this oppressive feeling when you were saging, like it was almost like a negative.
Yeah, most of the house was fine, and I saged everybody in the house too.
You did?
Everybody got that.
They love it, don't they?
Yes.
Mine do too.
Your kids playing video games, and you're like, hold on for a second, I have to be in front of you, and you're reciting the blessing, and you're blowing this stuff, and they're like, are you done? Like I'm some kind of priest. Right. But most of the house felt fine. And I got to this one spot that's in my bedroom, and I felt bad in front of it. So I actually did a banishing spell on top of just the blessing, and things have felt so different. I'm kind of a moody person. I'm a Pisces. We are emotional. We go up and down. So when I'm, having my bad times, I just assume that's just me. That's the way I am. I've not had that since then. And that's just so weird. And I'm not saying I'm like healed and it's over with and everything like that. It's just really odd. If all I have to do is burn some sage and walk around the house every 6 months, then deal. That's so much cheaper than medication and therapy.
No kidding. And, you know, like I said, things have been different here too. I have not had any experiences. I've been sleeping. I mean, could be because I'm super tired. You know, I was sick not too long ago, very ill. And I kind of group all of this together because it all went down around the same time. I mean, when you get that sick and you don't really know why, you do everything. You go the whole 9 yards to go in a total opposite direction. I started taking vitamins and supplements, and I'm saging and blessing the house like a fucking crazy person. So I'm not really sure what has helped, but something has around here. And you know, I burn bay leaves all the time, and I've done sage, but I've only, for the most part in this house, I've only like saged like, you know, myself and my altar.
In your area, yeah. I've only ever saged my office really before. So all my products are in here and I want them to be healthy and clean.
Right, exactly.
But guess where my ghost equipment is? It's in my bedroom.
Right.
And that was the cabinet that was bad. That was a cabinet that did not feel right. So it's my underwear or
that don't feel right.
Or it's the ghost equipment that was right above that.
Oh, that's interesting. And well, your ghost equipment has been to some serious places.
Yeah,
so.
And I've never thought that that's what I needed to do, was to cleanse these electronics. You know, you just don't expect that it's going to attach to these plastic pieces of metal, whatever, you know. But Boo Bear is in there.
Oh, yeah. Boo Bear's name is...
What did we say his name was? McFeely.
McFeely.
Yeah,
that's
it.
Mr.
McFeely. So Boo Bear's real name, because we don't call him Boo Bear because that's just rude. He is just Mr. McFeely, right?
Yeah, Mr. McFeely.
Right? Yeah, I didn't know if he had like a McFeely Johnson. I don't know what we made up. You know, that sounds weird. Actually,
that
when I say
sound really weird.
I just put that together. Because Mr. Rogers' middle name was McFeely. And that's also was a mailman's name on his show. So
that's great. That's so funny,
yeah.
McFeely Johnson. All right. You were getting a weird feeling from that cabinet. But Skeleton Crew is somebody that we associate with. I talk to them regularly. Well, I say regularly, but that's not true. Probably more regularly than anybody else that I follow on Instagram, aside from Wendy. When we were getting ready to go to the Birdcage, somehow, one way or another, I found out that they had been. I reached out and I started talking to whoever it is that's from the Skeleton Crew that talks to me a lot. I assume it's a woman because I've only seen women pictures from the Skeleton Crew. She's very easy to associate with and talk to. I love them. It's I feel like I know them and I don't. It's almost like how we know Jamie and Robin from Indiana. Right. They're another set paranormal investigators that we did actually meet, and we associate with them often, but we've only seen them one time.
We met them once, spent one night with them.
Right.
And that was it. Like lifelong friends. They're fabulous people.
They really are. I do love them. They're fun. But so I kind of feel like Skeleton Crew is another like branch of women just like those two ladies are. So when we found out that we were going to the Birdcage, we started talking to them. Anyways, long story short, she did say that we needed to cleanse everything after that place because I had a messed up experience there that I couldn't even like shake afterwards. I was just like, what the fuck?
But it was this child, you know, what we're assuming is a child because a child is supposed to haunt the place. And so you take that as like, oh, I feel sorry for them. And like what an experience me and this child spirit shared. You don't take it as something negative. I mean, we heard the footsteps and stuff like that, but we didn't have.
At us.
Oh, that was so great. But other than that, and even that didn't feel like it was attacking us necessarily. It just felt like it was reacting to what we were doing and saying.
Yes, it was good. It was very reactive. Yeah.
But Mr. McFeely's first trip out, his only trip out at this point, was at the Birdcage Theatre. And I don't know, there's a lot of equipment in that cabinet that's been to a lot of different places that we've experienced bad energy, places that have a dark history to them. Well, I mean, I guess the Birdcage Theatre has pretty dark history too, but I don't know what it was, but I did think about him being in there.
So he's a cute thing. He's something that someone or something would want to attach itself to.
He's a doll, just like any haunted doll could be. He is a haunted teddy bear. No.
You and I both do that. We keep our paranormal gear separate from all of our like witch, spirit emporium. It's all separate. I do the same thing. And that's, to me, very, very funny. When I was working on my spring cleaning of my altar, I was like, this is a paranormal book. It does not go in this with it. Like, I have two complete separate libraries in this house, So I have everything paranormal haunting related downstairs here, and everything like witch and blessing and, everything else is upstairs at my altar. So anyways, you said, haunted bear. So hey, everybody, new spirit board coming soon. The haunted bear board. Hell yeah.
He's like the cutest bear. It doesn't look intimidating, but I believe there might have been a demon attached to him. No, I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, that's us. I don't know. We live these multiple different lives. We have social media for our Etsy shop, the Spirit Emporium. We have social media for ourselves. And then we have social media for our paranormal group and podcast, because this is a podcast, remember?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It is a podcast, as a matter of fact. We get around to the podcast eventually. We would really like to introduce it right away, but it's so like weird for us because we're in the middle of chatting. We're just like having a conversation. So when we do finally get around to it and we're like, hey, by the way, this is a podcast. And I have to introduce myself because this might be the first time you're tuning in. And I hope it's not, because you won't understand that we get around to actually talking about.
We would have lost those people 20 minutes ago.
What are these girls babbling on and on about? But yes, as Wendy said, this is a podcast. It's called The Creatures of the Night. And I'm Chris.
And I'm Wendy.
So I guess maybe right now, I should maybe tell a story.
I cannot wait to hear a story from you.
Cool. I got something interesting for you. With many stories that I've said before, I teetered back and forth on this one. I didn't want to do this story because there's a lot of controversy around it. But then in the end, I was like, I'm going to do this story at some point. We're still doing podcasts, so it's going to come up at some point. So I now have this story to tell you. And I also have a whole other story that I wrote in the meantime, because I was like, I'm not doing that story. I am not doing that story. I'm doing another story. So anyways, okay, here we go. 45 years ago, on June 19th, 1972, Hurricane Agnes made landfall in Florida. The storm caused some of the worst flooding ever in the mid-Atlantic and is responsible for 122 deaths. 48 of those deaths occurred in Pennsylvania. Agnes was, at the time, the costliest hurricane to hit the U.S. in recorded history. In Florida, Agnes caused a significant tornado outbreak, with at least 26 confirmed twisters, 2 of which were spawned in Georgia. The tornadoes and 2 initially unconfirmed tornadoes in Florida alone resulted in over $4.5 million in damage and 6 fatalities. At least 2,082 structures in Florida suffered either major damage or were destroyed. In Georgia, damage was limited to 2 tornadoes, which caused approximately $275,000 in losses. Minimal effects were also recorded in Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island, South Carolina, and Tennessee, though 1 fatality was reported in Delaware. Even in Canada, a mobile home was toppled and killing 2 people. The most significant effects by far occurred in Pennsylvania, mostly due to intense flooding. The hurricane severely flooded the Susquehanna and Lackawanna rivers, causing major damage to the Wilkes-Barre, maybe Barre, Scranton areas. In both Pennsylvania and New Jersey combined, about 43,594 structures were either destroyed or significantly damaged. Overall, Agnes caused 128 fatalities and nearly $3 billion in damages. Due to the significant effects, the name Agnes was retired in the spring of 1973, which I just thought that they retired hurricane names after there was a hurricane anyways.
Yeah, that's what I was, what? They don't rename them. Has there been so many hurricanes that they can't think of new names? That sounds dumb.
I don't know. I put that in there so that we could argue about it because I don't know.
Please, someone that's listening to this podcast, hopefully you work for the fucking Weather Channel. We need an explanation on that. That doesn't, what are they talking about?
When they get back to the
They mean that a million years from now, they refuse to use Agnes again?
Agnes. I think so. I think that, a million.
Okay, don't worry about it. I'm sure by then they'll come up with cool, fresh names that you'll have something else to go with. You know, there's always people trying to be different, come up with different stuff.
Yeah, but that's when they usually go backwards and they go with the old names because always the old names are in.
That is a trend, right? Hey, I appreciate old names. I did not have a little girl, but had I, her name would have been fucking Molly. So.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love that. As a family name too, but.
I came up with some cool ass girls' names not too long ago, and I was like, that would have been a winner. Like, I like the name Jasmine, so I could call her Jazz. Like, fuck yeah, doing that. Never having any more kids though. So what am I? Who am I having this?
Cats.
So
just get more cats and name more cats.
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that too. I'm not really sure where I am on the cats list right now. I just have two real assholes. That's all. So anyways, enough with this weather crap. This is a paranormal podcast after all. So because of all of the flooding in Pennsylvania.
2 seconds though. Tornadoes are fucking terrifying.
They are terrifying.
I know, not paranormal at all, but if you want a fucking thrill.
No, I've been through too many of them.
Watch a fucking tornado off in the distance as you're driving.
Oh, geez. That I've never done, but I have been in 2 of them that a building was demolished by just like minutes after I left it. And I was in a car on a highway when it just came barreling down. I mean, it's just being in a tornado is one of the most frightening things. I'm sure there's plenty of other frightening things, like, being kidnapped. That's probably pretty frightening. I don't know. I've never lived through that. I'm just saying, for me, tornadoes, I can't deal with them.
Yeah, no offense to people that have been kidnapped, but I would take my chances with the kidnapper over a tornado picking my ass up. I'm going to lose against the tornado.
I'm totally losing against it, too.
I'm probably going to lose against the kidnapper, too, so...
I mean, that's why we carry knives. You can't, even in a knife fight with a tornado, the tornado's going to win. I mean, hands down.
Yep.
So,
it whips the knife out of your hand and you're like, whoop. Sorry.
Oh, and my arms.
All right. Focus.
So the Smurl, right. So back to this. Now I'm going to get to the point here. The Smurl family, like many others during this time, were forced out of their homes. The Smurl family consists of Jack and Janet, that's mom and dad, their children, Heather, Shannon, Dawn, and Karen, as well as Jack's parents, John and Mary. Now, the family was actually a little smaller when they had to evacuate their home. 2 of the Smurls' children came a little bit later on. But still, this is a family of 6 that is now displaced. And I'm sure that this was an incredibly stressful and devastating time for that whole family. I couldn't even fucking imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Having to manage, and they're probably like close in age too, the kids or something. Like, I bet they're not spread out that far. I mean, kids, they've got, I mean, like, when you have kids and somebody's like, wants you to come over, you're like, could you just come to my house? Because they have their toys and their things, and I can't transport an entire house to make them comfortable.
No. With that said, these were twins. So I'm sure they were both like at the same time, like with all of their stuff, wanting all of it at the same time, right? I mean, I don't know. I've never had a sister. Sure as fuck, not a twin. Well, I am a Gemini, but I only get to have.
It doesn't count to have split personalities.
I have plenty of arguments in my own head. Trust me. But yeah, so it was 6 of them looking for a new place. They did eventually find something that seemed to fit them quite perfectly. They ended up moving into a duplex in the suburb of Pittston, Pennsylvania.
That is a horrible name.
I know, it is bad. No, and actually, when I reread this, I realized that I had misspelled it. I left out one of the extra T's, so I just called it Pittston. Pittston, Pittston, Pennsylvania, 328 Chase Street, West Pittston, to be exact, is the house that they finally settled on. Ultimately, the house was purchased by John and Mary, which was Jack's parents. And because the house was split, the Smurl family was able to move into the left side while John and Mary moved into the right side. They had 2 front doors, so this honestly seemed like the perfect setup for them. Although the house was old and in some desperate need of repair. So, I mean, I'm sure they probably got, a deal on this place, but they had to do a lot of repairs. Jack and Janet put in their efforts to do all of the repairs themselves, like repainting, retooling, landscaping, and, just any other repairs that, were necessary around the house. Which it was shortly after this, in 1974, when they started to notice weird things happening and they didn't really have an explanation. One of the very first things that they mentioned was a dark spot would constantly reappear in an area of carpet in the house. Though they would scrub the carpet over and over again, the stain kept returning.
To try to reason it out with a logical explanation, you might think the pad is stained underneath.
I'm with you. I actually did a little bit more research on this carpet because there's conflicting stories. Some people say that it was a carpet that came with the house, and some people, when they tell the story, it was a brand new carpet that they brought into the house. So my initial thought was, just like yours, peel that shit back and remove that fucking carpet pad. I mean, I've watched on some forensic files that they used to use some kind of, I can't remember what it was, but some kind of like stain on the floorboards, which would actually seep up into the carpet and would create stains. So, yeah. I mean, it could have been something like that. This was the 70s, so this would be back in that time frame. But like I said, I've seen kind of conflicting information here. So it's either a carpet that was in the house and they didn't go that way, or it was a new carpet that they brought into the house. I'm not 100% on the whole carpet stain story.
Still, though, I feel like if it was just, a stain on the pad and they figured that out, they replaced it, and it stopped happening, then you wouldn't be telling me this story. So
that's true.
Assuming this is leading somewhere else.
Well, yeah. Like I said, they were doing repairs. They had replaced bathroom toilets and the sink, and they would all of a sudden appear to have scratches all over them.
Oh, no.
That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, scratches on the toilet is weird. If you're seeing scratches on the toilet, this is the strangest thing ever.
I'm not scratching the toilet. Who the fuck is doing that? I couldn't imagine, you're sitting down
the toilet,
your breakfast, you're eating your cereal.
She always hangs out by the toilet.
Oh, but that's what I was going to say. Dad comes downstairs and he's like, which one of you scratched up the toilet? What? You're joking, right? Because who does that?
Nobody.
Also, around this time, their eldest daughter, Dawn, reported seeing transparent shapes floating around above her bed and throughout her bedroom. And then the TV suddenly burst into fucking flames. So this story would have ended right there for me. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, like faulty wiring. Some people could tell themselves that. An old TV.
I couldn't imagine my TV just bursting into flames because I don't know. TV to me is just something I need. Listen, you can't just do that.
Anything bursting into flames is going to scare the shit out of me. So.
Yeah.
An immediate what the fuck.
Well, I wonder, because they have this other shit happening with, toilets getting scratched and things floating around in kids' bedrooms. If the TV bursting in the flames was like the entity being like, damn it, notice me. I'm here.
I scratched your toilet, for God's sakes. I
was trying to get your attention. Pay attention.
Like anybody else could have done that.
Right. That is one of those immediate signs that you need to get your shit blessed or get the sage out, like we were just talking about.
Or move.
Right, exactly. Maybe this isn't the place for you. Maybe
this choice too.
So the water pipes would leak without explanation, even though the family attempted to repair the pipes, but it just kept leaking. So years of the shit goes by. Meanwhile, the Smurl, they stayed there. The Smurls were struggling to make ends meet. Then these episodes began to intensify. In addition to the things I mentioned earlier, the family began hearing footsteps on the stairs and started feeling random cold spots throughout the house, which, that's not good.
Listen, I'm cold all the time in my house. So I'm not sure that would have got my attention. A TV bursting into flames, yes. Toilet scratches, yes. Cold spots, I'd be like, ooh, it's drafty.
Drafty. But hearing footsteps on the stairs, too, that's one of those, and TV bursting into flames, something's here. The radio, it would not burst into flames, but it would turn on and off by itself. And when it came on, it would be, blaringly loud. It wouldn't just be, on, and then it would be, fucking loud volume. All of the knobs were turned way on.
Terrify you when it pops on.
Yes.
That happened in my house that I grew up in.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And you waited till now to tell me that?
The TV and the radio would pop on. But it was an old house. So you tell yourself, well, it's bad electrical wiring. The lights would do the same thing. But obviously, I saw stuff in the house that I grew up in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, wait a second. Your house was totally haunted, too.
Yeah, I know. But you don't know if it's him that was doing it or if it was an old house. So I don't know.
Oh, man.
But that stuff would happen to us.
I totally lied about the address of this house and everything. This is your story, just so you know.
That would be amazing. If you could tell me why my house growing up was
all
haunted.
The names and everything. That's interesting, though. Well, I hope the rest of this is not like your experience. I hope to God, because it gets pretty fucked up. Well, not this part. This part I'm about to tell you is actually just so what, but the toilet flushed by itself.
That'd be nice if my house would do that now.
Courtesy flush by itself?
Yeah, because I got a lot of little boys that don't do it themselves.
Look, I wouldn't have even written that shit down. A courtesy toilet flush, that's great. That ghost is very considerate. I'm just saying. That shit stinks. Flush. Thank you, ghost. Awesome.
Wait a minute. Flush while you're on the toilet, you think? Or you just hear it flush randomly?
Well, see, that's so.
You wouldn't know. You don't have that answer for me. I know.
Yeah, I don't have that answer. I don't have that. And
I think if I'm sitting on the toilet and it's my toilet at home, not like when it happens to you when you're at Target.
Right. The sensor?
The sensor, and you've done set it off and you get that little tingle because the water's spraying up and you're like, oh gosh. But if that happened at home, I would freak out.
I just shot snot out of my neck.
But I think if I just heard it randomly flush while it wasn't in there, I'd be like, thank you.
That's
not why I have my cold ass on that, though.
You know what? Honestly, maybe that is why this is in the story. Nobody actually said that the toilet flushed by itself while they were fucking sitting on it. But that would make so much more sense that would be.
I mean, because if this is like a mom of 6 kids and she's in another room and she has a toilet flush, she's not questioning that. She's just like, okay. So it had to have happened with people sitting on it because that's rude.
Exactly.
And that's not nice.
I don't know. I disagree. I would appreciate that help.
Well, I mean, courtesy flushes,
in a weird spot. You have to reach back.
But the spray, it's so...
So you're right. Totally. Yeah, especially in a public restaurant. That's the worst, especially at airports. Drawers would open and then close by themselves.
It's that evil underwear, just like in my house.
This is another one that
was doing everything it possibly could to get their attention, and they're just like, doop, doop, doop. Meh. That's not happening. No. They're in the biggest denial ever.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, or they're totally thankful because it's like mom is doing all this fucking work. Let's just say she's got these couple of kids, this dude who's working, he's working all the time because she's got to take care of the kids. So she never sees him, and mom and dad-in-law. Yeah. So she's got this helper who's like shutting drawers after these kids and flushing toilets. She's like, fucking thank God something around here's going right for me. Meanwhile, the entity's getting totally pissed because all he wants is recognition, somebody to start chanting and getting, the sage out or something, trying and put me back where I belong. Nope. everyone's like, thank God this guy's here. As far as I was totally on board with the toilet being flushed and the drawers opening and closing by themselves because I could use a little help myself. I wouldn't mind while I'm, carrying the basket up the stairs and I've got the socks and I'm ready to put them somewhere. I'll have to put the socks down so I can open up the drawers. But man, if that drawer just opened up for me, I feel like fucking Mary Poppins.
I have people that like to leave their drawers open. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you think that's okay. But they just leave drawers open. They open them, they put stuff in them, or they get stuff out of them, and then they just walk away. Who does that? Monsters. Doesn't make any sense.
Monsters. Well, Wendy, I think you just solved the mystery of what's going on at this house now also. It's monsters. So that was all the fun I had because now it's the permeating aroma of rot or death that was being smelled throughout the house.
No. Yeah. Okay. Stop being fun.
I mean, no, that's not a good, I don't know if that's why the toilet was always flushing. If he's like, damn, that just stinks. I don't know, but.
This is just what happened after he stopped flushing the toilet. Yeah, right, no, maybe. He got fed up. Nobody was paying attention. She got fed up that nobody was paying attention.
Yeah, right. During 1985, the activity sparked an all-time high, as if all this other shit wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, the TV bursting into flames was a pretty big deal.
Right. That's going all the way back to the beginning. That's where I was like, piece the fuck out. My TV burst into flames. No. That would have been it for me right then and there. I would have been gone. No, we had to go through fucking toilets flushing, drawers opening, whatever. Now it's getting worse. During that year, Janet gave birth to her second set of twins, Shannon and Karen, which they felt seemed to drastically increase the activity in the house. Scratches began appearing on the family members.
Oh.
The walls would often rattle.
Whoa.
And then one day, while standing in the kitchen, Janet reportedly saw a silhouette appear right before her fucking eyes. It was a black shadow that froze her solid. Okay, that's cool.
No. I vote
We're getting scratched. The walls are shaking. Now there's people that don't need to be in this house that are just showing up. Let's stay here. Let's stay longer. And on several occasions, when she was alone in the house, she said she heard her name being spoken. This is Janet again. She admitted that, when she heard it at first, she thought it was her in-laws, but she could never find the source. And no matter how much she looked around the house, there was never anybody there actually speaking her name. She'd go next door and be like, stop it. And they'd be like, bitch, you're crazy. They didn't realize that she was actually hearing something in her own house. They just felt like she was coming over accusing them of stuff that they weren't doing. Like they really thought she was starting to lose her mind.
They've been living in this shit for so long. They are out of their mind to
they
be
are
okay with this.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, again, they were strapped for cash and this was a cheap ass house. So it's kind of like.
I get it. I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
What are you going to do?
They had a fan. It was an older light fixture, so I'm guessing it's not something that they replaced during their the repairs of the house. But it just suddenly broke off and landed inches from their daughter, who was, I guess, playing on the floor. I guess it ended up cutting her, but she's fine. She survived. It was just, one of those things you always see in the movie, like as the tension's building and then there's this almost near-death situation.
Yeah.
That was one of them. So the parents who lived in the duplex on the other side said that they regularly heard insults and screams from Jack and Janet's side of the house. I'm
sorry, I'm just envisioning Jack and Janet up against the wall being like, "You're an asshole." And then when the couple the in-laws ask, "Hey, did you hear screaming?" No. We sure didn't. They were just getting at all their aggression. And then pretending like we don't know anything about that.
That's funny. That's what they thought. They thought that they were just having trouble. So they just kind of ignored it.
None of our business type thing. Yeah.
Right. But Mary, Jack's mother, one day saw an entity. It was later, I guess, discussed decided upon the two women, Janet and Mary, that it was the same entity that Janet had seen. So Mary realized then that there were other things going on. I guess because I'm sure that there were discussions. Maybe it came up, hey, maybe you guys shouldn't scream so loudly about shit or whatever. And they're like, we're not. We're like trying to sleep. Then, Mary saw the ghostly entity in her house too. And they just sort of corroborated, okay, this is what's going on. So it just goes right on down into Crazy Town from here on out. So just it's tight. Shit's about to get weird. I mean, real weird. Janet woke up several times in a state of levitation.
What?
And I said several times in a state of levitation. On another occasion, she was woken up in the middle of a violent physical assault that threw her ass straight up out of bed. Meanwhile, Jack was completely paralyzed while this whole thing was going down. He couldn't do a damn thing. Then this entity turned to Shannon and started dragging her ass out of bed, throwing her around to where the parents would finally find her just like paralyzed in fear at the bottom of the stairs, where thank God they found her. And I'm sure she was paralyzed in fear, because if you were like thrown around, while you were sleeping peacefully, how else would you want to be found? I mean, you want to be found. So in fear is fine with me. Get us out of the house.
Yeah. Can we finally fucking move? Right. Like, let's live in our car in a Walmart parking lot at this point.
I mean, I think they had a station wagon. They had 4 kids. So, but this is kind of sad. I have to put it in here because it's part of the story. The family dog, a German Shepherd named Simon, was even being seen levitating. And they also witnessed him being picked up and thrown against a wall. And I don't know why it's just so much harder for me to talk about animals like that than it is people. I mean, I love people too, but it's like, animals, come on, they're there to, be your friends and just protect you. And they just, want you to just feed them and they'll be cool. But don't pick on the fucking animals. It's just so sad to me.
But he survived through that you know of? Or
I don't have that information. I hope
okay.
so. Yeah, I hope so. But I don't have that information. And we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
On a daily basis, the Smurls claimed that they were scratched or would hear loud or hoarse breathing coming from inside the walls.
Oh,
and then...
Okay, sorry.
You know what, though? Like, at this point, I'm like, are they just sticking it out because they just love horror? They're just like, let's see what happens next. This shit's getting good.
They're like those people that remade Poltergeist because they wanted to be cursed. They're just really sick.
We like playing the number 13. That's our jam. Yeah.
No, I imagine these poor things couldn't afford anything more.
Yeah.
So they were like, what are we supposed to do? We just have to live here.
Right. And then one evening, while Jack had fallen asleep in the living room in front of the TV, which I guess they got another one because he was watching baseball, he was suddenly woken up by what he claims to have been a succubus. Jack reported seeing a deformed old woman on top of him, raping him. And
no, it's not like I didn't know what the whole succubus thing was about, but
that I said it.
I guess just hearing you say it, I'm like, no.
Let me spell it out for you. This
Don't
was
tell me details.
Going down. It was so bad. According to Jack, sometimes she appeared old, sometimes young, with red and yellow gums.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. Having that all up in your face. Come on.
Ugh.
Now, they finally decided that this shit is bonkers.
That's because Janet was finally like, you messing with my fucking man.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, she was. She's had enough of that, but there was other stuff going on too. I'll get into more of that in a minute. At this time, Janet attempted to find someone that could help get rid of this and reached out to none other than Ed and Lorraine Warren. Give it up, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens were American paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of hauntings. Also, a couple of people that I am totally intrigued by, if you couldn't tell by the give it up for Ed, was a World War II United States Navy veteran and former police officer who became a self-taught and self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer, while Lorraine claims that she is a clairvoyant as well as a light trance medium who worked alongside her husband. In 1952, the Warrens founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, which is the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. They authored numerous books about the paranormal and about their private investigations into various reports of the paranormal activity that they researched. They claim to have investigated over 10,000 cases during their career. And nerd fact here, I have 3 of their books.
They're fascinating people. I mean, like, we told other stories before when spiritualism started and everything. So it's not like the idea of being a medium or spirits is, something new, and right. Only for our generation or even for Ed and Lorraine's generation, but they were definitely pioneers in this whole idea of deeply investigating locations, connecting with the family, seeing what was going on, like making some kind of formal way about the process of investigating, and then writing about it and talking about it and just putting it out there.
That I couldn't have said any better. That's exactly
it wasn't this movement, this spiritual movement, this just wave of like, this is the cool thing to do right now or to be a part of, or let's go to parties where people read your palms or make spirits appear. They were like, oh, you're having a problem? Let me come to your house and see if I can help type thing.
Right.
Which is what paranormal investigating is largely about these days, with a lot of local groups trying to reach out and help people.
Exactly. Right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And I have a little side story here on the Ed and Lorraine Warren. I didn't even write this down. It just sort of came to me as you were speaking about them. Something that they did in their earlier career before they were even known as this, paranormal group or ghost hunting group of people, because she's a clairvoyant. They would drive around like in towns. They're from Connecticut, and they would just drive around and find neighborhoods, and she would get feelings outside of particular houses. And Ed, she'd have him paint the house, and she would tell him what was going on inside the house. So they would have just all of these paintings of things that he was doing, I guess, and she was telling him what she was sensing inside the house that they would collect. And eventually they would kind of go and try and talk to these people. And some of them were perceptive because they realized that something was going on. And some of these people were like, get the fuck out of here, you crazy assholes, So it's kind of wild, the things that they were doing back then, because back then it really wasn't like a very accepted idea. Now you have, TV, you've got Ghost Adventures. Everybody's heard of them. Everybody knows what they're doing. And, we're on social media all the time with like 1,500 other people who are just friends of ours and researching this too. So it's almost hard to not run into somebody these days who isn't either into it or hasn't heard of somebody's story, to where it turns them on, to where it's like, okay, I know somebody who knows the guy,
Right.
It's one of those things.
Somebody that's experienced it or knows somebody that has experienced it so much that they believe it and then are accepting of it. But there's people that are in denial, much like this family, obviously, for a really long time.
For a very long time.
So you knock, knock, knock. I sense that you have something going on in your house, and they're like, you're a crazy bitch. That was just the toaster. It was old. It's not a big deal. Leave us alone.
I bet they would have loved for the Warrens to just come and knocking on their door, but they were in Pennsylvania, and these guys, the Warrens, they're in Connecticut, so they were doing more stuff in New England area. I don't know if they were really venturing out. They had to get contacted, and that's what happened. I guess Janet reached out to him, and she might have gotten Lorraine somehow. I don't know. I don't actually have this book now it's like that I'm doing the story. I can't believe I'm doing a story on one of the books I don't even have myself. So I could have gone to it and just like nerd checked all of my shit. But anyways, the Warrens investigated the Smurls' house along with a psychic named Rosemary Frew, I think. Frew. It's like true, but it's got an F in the beginning and an H at the end. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's German. Anyways, this psychic, we'll just go with Rosemary. That's easy enough. Told the Smurls that there were a total of 4 entities haunting the house, including a man who appeared in the shadows, who apparently murdered his wife and lover before being hanged by a crowd a century earlier, an old woman, a demon, and another entity that was very powerful and very angry.
Yeah, that succubus. We got it.
Yeah.
We knew she was there. So she's a demon that she's very angry. Why can't demons ever be like semi-satisfied with life? Why are they so angry?
They're always so hateful too. Shit, chill out.
The silhouette, but also horny. Like, what a weird combination. I mean, you're getting what you want.
So chill the fuck
out. Shouldn't you be happy?
You would think. This is so funny because like one of the places that are on my list of places to go is the Ancient Ram Inn.
Oh my
and
God.
That's apparently like where one of those things exists. Yeah,
we wouldn't do well there.
It wouldn't do anything for me. So
unless she's into that kind of thing. So
I mean, who knows? But anyways, this part of the story, just after everything building up, it just so much reminded me of the Dead Files that like I'm now like watching a TV show. Like this is the part where they're doing their reveal. Steve and Amy, Allan, they're sitting side by side at the table with the homeowners, and Amy says blah blah ghosts, blah blah demons, and with her large fucking crazy ass eyes, there's this other entity that is very powerful and very angry. And then that's when Steve's like, yeah, no kidding. I talked to this guy who told me a story about a guy. And anyways, here's his picture. And I honestly feel like this family needed Amy and Steve here instead of the Warrens, because like they're just like, yeah, yes. Here the fucker is. Here's a pic. They were better investigators. They're like, oh, and by the way, we'll fix it.
No, sometimes Amy just tells them, I'm sorry, you have to move. So,
yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Back to the Warrens. They also investigated outside of the residence so that they could obtain like testimonials from the neighbors who had claimed to witness the events. And indeed, when the couple was not in the house, they claimed to hear screams and even growls coming from the Smurls' house.
Ooh.
Isn't that interesting?
What was going through their head? They were just like, man, those fucking people really need to move. Like, I know none of them are home and I'm hearing shit from their house. Or were they like, I wonder if they left their youngest home, because there's some crazy sounds coming from there. And that kid's a little crazy. So
I bet that's it. I bet they left their youngest home and they left him like locked up, and he's just like, like he's getting all crazy and shit because he wants his snack pack pudding or whatever. I don't know. Could you imagine just like you're on your 10 a.m. stroll?
I am not incredibly nosy about my neighbors, but if I heard fucking growls coming from their house, I think I would put my house up for sale. Like, oh yeah, I can't be near this. I can't be a part of it.
Yeah, that's wild. They said they heard screams and growls, I think, right? Yeah, screams or growls. So, like, even if you heard screaming, first of all, if I heard screaming, I might be tempted to call the cops. I'm sure in the 70s, 80s, whatever, they didn't have 911s. They had something else. They had the fucking number to the cops. So I would probably be calling the number to the cops and be like, yo, this address, shit's going down, people screaming, go check it out, right?
Right.
So Ed Warren decided to contact Father McKenna, who was an exorcist mandated by the Vatican, who tried an exorcism in the house. The attempted exorcism did not go very well at all. It actually seemed to enrage the demonic entities even more.
Yeah, I'm certain they don't like that.
Yeah, I don't think they usually like that either. During the exorcism, EVPs of insults against the Warrens were said to have been captured. Also, Ed claims to have felt as if he was being strangled by a demonic force during the exorcism, and his recovery of the attack took several days. After the attempted exorcism, Janet reported that she had been sexually assaulted by the shadow she had been seeing.
What? I think she's trying to make her husband jealous.
Well, so Jack reported as he was laying in bed with Janet, he heard someone whispering and he thought it was a young woman. When he, kind of woke up and turned, he saw his wife there and she was basically like trying to wake him up to get something off of her. He watched a shadowy figure running up her fucking leg. Also, one of the two twins, Karen, fell suddenly ill and almost died as a result of an unexplainable infection. As for Dawn, the second twin, she was also reported to have been sexually assaulted by the entity. And then Janet and the mother-in-law, Jack's mom, started showing traces of being beaten and had numerous bite marks all over their bodies.
Okay. I don't know what to say. I
told you, shit was going into Crazy Town. It just gets more and more
fucked up. Why are they still there?
Okay, so your TV is set on flames and you stick around fine, but now you've got bite marks. I mean, you've got to get the fuck out of here.
Well, I mean, okay, even as adults and you're strapped for cash and stuff, something happens to your husband, something happens to you. It's only attacking you. It's only hurting you. Your children tell you that they're sexually assaulted by something.
Yeah,
it's go time. Super fucking go
it's
time.
Totally go time. I couldn't agree with you more.
Burn the place down as you're leaving as well.
Right. Why not? There's got to be ways to make it look like it's an accident. I mean, shit, just burn it down.
It doesn't
and
even
go.
For me, it would not even matter at that point. Why is my child saying this? Even if it's not a spirit, what is causing this to happen? Well, we're affecting her with the stuff we're telling her. I mean, we're saying what's happening to us, so she's making these stories up as well, or something's happening to her, or what? This is affecting them in some way. We've got to get the fuck out.
Well, no matter where they went, they were being attacked. So they would go to work and they would still have the demonic presence. They would fucking leave and go camping. They were not going to be in that house and they would still be attacked. So at this point, it's bad. The shit is just on them. They need more help than what they were seeking out. So, yeah. Father McKenna tried a second exorcism several months later, though it was in vain. The church then decided not to try anything further for the Smurl family as rumors began to circulate that the Smurls were making that shit up.
Listen, if I didn't know these people and they were telling me this stuff, I'd be like, yo, fucking crazy.
Right.
Because nobody can believe that shit until it's happening to them.
To them.
Yeah.
Yep. In 1986, an area priest moved into the house, hoping to witness the demonic forces firsthand. Nothing happened, and after only staying in that house for 2 nights without witnessing any unusual activity, he left.
Yeah, you can't move in forever. There's 4 fucking children in there. So
I mean, right? Thank you. That's so funny. That's what I was thinking. I'm sure they were just like, what's with the collar? Why do you always wear the black? Do you do this? Do you eat this? Can you, it's kids. And he's like, 2 nights is long enough. Nothing's going on. I gotta go. Many began to think that this was all in an effort to make some serious money. After all, the family was facing financial difficulties. So Janet basically said that she couldn't handle the phenomena and the harassment anymore, which had only increased since Father McKenna's exorcism. She then decided to contact the press, hoping that the church would then grant them another exorcism. She claims that this basically was her last resort and really, really hoped that it would help them with the situation. But then the journalists began knocking and they felt ousted by their neighbors and fellow church members. People started camping out in front of their house. I mean, yeah, I would have. I mean, I'm not lying. I would have been that person. I don't even have to. If I had read that in the paper, sorry, job. Whatever vacation time, sick time. This is where I am. Cars of onlookers. I can't even say this word. Why'd I put this in here? Onlookers. Cars of them.
In cars. Why are they in cars? Why don't they get out?
They cruised by, hoping to catch
just a bunch of people
of something. Yeah, they're just like,
they want to hear those growls and stuff.
Yes. They're going by slowly. Yeah, they want to hear the growls. They're like, I don't know what kind of huge ass cameras they had back then. Maybe they didn't. It was like close to the 80s, so maybe they had those long, like, what was it, the Casio that was like a.
That
you know what I'm talking?
Yeah. Oh shit! What did they take? It was like the 110s or something with the 10.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
I think it is a 110. But yeah, I bet they had those, and they were just like snapping. Wine, snap. Wine. That's why they had to cruise so slowly. They didn't have digital. The story became an instant hit with the local news, and everybody nearby wanted a piece of the action, whether it was to validate their claims or further add to the rumors that this was all a stunt. Didn't matter. They just wanted a piece of it. Per Lorraine Warren's advice, the family contacted a medium named Mary Alice Rinkman. She basically corroborated everything that Ed and Lorraine Warren said, and also what the family said. And I don't know if that was per her investigation or if, maybe she was tipped under the table. I have no idea.
Yeah, she should only be able to corroborate it if she witnessed it as well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But because of her testimony, the diocese then agrees to help the family following this whatever evidence the medium gathered for him. I have no idea what that evidence was. The Warrens prepared a third exorcism with the help of several priests and a group of parishioners that would assist with the prayers. Meanwhile, Ed Warren contacted a writer named Robert Curran to begin writing about the demonic events at the Smurls house, because he's going to cash in on that shit.
Somebody should.
All right, exactly. So Ed Warren's like, gonna get that money. The exorcism was said to have finally been a success. At the time, no further phenomenon was felt, and the Smurl family admitted that they could finally breathe in the house. But
because they got their cash payout, or
no, just because
there had to be a happy ending.
I don't know if the cash payout came at this point, but they basically said that they could finally breathe, and then 3 months later, Jack saw the shadow reappear before him. According to what he reported, he took a cross and began praying the Lord's Prayer until this thing was gone. He was hoping that this was like an isolated incident. However, the hauntings just started up again. And this is why I feel like they really needed Amy Allan, because girl would have told them about using black salt and burning sage.
Yeah,
and
every 6 months
shaman.
On a regular basis.
On a regular basis, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. When this shit started up again, I'm like, well, yeah, because you got to keep up with that. It's like, I don't know, with your dogs, and you've got to take them to the vet, and you got to give them the medicine that's prescribed
for heartworm stuff, and every 6 months.
Calendar. Go through this whole thing. And the Warrens, I guess, didn't tell him to do that, or the diocese didn't tell him to do that. Maybe they were all just like, yep, it's good. Handshakes, we're done. Peace out. Amy Allan would have been like, shaman, burn that carpet, scatter those ashes around some sacred land designated by whatever shaman y'all get, and then make sure you sage every month. Just once a month. And that's all they needed. But they didn't have Amy Allan.
You're a real advocate for Amy Allan.
I'm just saying, she helps. Yes. So 6 episodes from now, I'll be total reverse.
Right. Just talking shit about her and stuff.
I'm a Gemini. I do that sort of shit. So believe it or not, a 4th and final exorcism took place. But exhausted from fighting against the fierce entities for 10 years. It's been 10 years. The family just, at this point, decided to fucking peace out.
Okay, finally. Somebody got a bonus at their job or something like that. Thank the fucking Lord.
Please. That's what we should have been saying at the beginning of this episode. Please give this family some more money so that they can get a new house.
They got that payday from that book, maybe, finally, or something.
Oh, Oh,
yeah.
Very insightful. Maybe that is what happened. I don't know.
Look,
the area that
all you had to do was start a GoFundMe page. Can you please help me get out of my haunted house?
In my DOS dial-up at the time, 1987. What kind of computer do I even have?
I don't know.
GoFundMe. I don't know, but
do they have computers? No,
I don't even know.
Computers have been around a long time. I just mean the internet and all that stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah, but I don't think in 1987. I don't even know what dude was doing for a living. I could have been a little bit more investigative and found out. I don't have any idea. But yes, they finally said, we can't deal with the shit anymore. And they packed up their shit and left their Chase Street duplex for good. And every owner in the duplex following the Smurls has declared that nothing supernatural or otherworldly has ever happened to them. However, supernatural phenomenon reportedly followed the Smurls to their new home. Of course it would, because, it was following them to fucking camping or to work. I would love a demonic entity to follow me to fucking work. It would know that I was already being tortured. It would get there and be like, shit, why am I fucking bothering this girl? This is horrible.
You just sit at your desk and go, get down.
Get out.
Talking to yourself.
You know what's funny is the two women that actually do sit pretty close to me are so used to me talking to myself that they wouldn't think anything of it. So the Smurls, they got a church-sanctioned exorcism of their new home in 1989, which apparently cleared the new house of its activity. So since then, experts, priests, television producers, and journalists have all scrutinized the Smurl story. Nope, it's not a story.
Story.
I just invent new words on this podcast. Thank you for joining Chris and Wendy's new dictionary. And on this story, you get to hear about the Smurls. So they were scrutinized for their story, including the fucking author. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that. I don't know if he's a fucking author. He's just an author. He might be an okay
somebody. So
his name was Robert Curran. I'll go ahead and throw that out there since I'm bad-mouthing him and all. Even the Warrens themselves scrutinized their story. They were the ones that chronicled the Smurls in the book that they got money for. It's called The Haunted One Family's Nightmare. I don't have this one. I already said that earlier. And it's also a made-for-TV movie, which don't watch it.
Sorry.
Old as shit. It's bad. I've seen it. I actually saw this years ago, and I didn't even remember seeing it until I went back and watched it. And while I was watching it, I was like, I remember seeing this, but I thought it was a Forensic Files because it's like it's filmed like that. It's not good.
So what do you mean they criticized the family? Because they said they agreed with whatever was going on. So in their book, they were like, these people are fucking crazy.
No, in the book, they were going along with it. Apparently, something came out in the meantime from the Warrens where they were criticizing them. And I don't even know what it was because I didn't see it. It's just that I don't know if they were trying to save themselves because there was a lot of shit going on about the Warrens at this time frame anyways. They were being called frauds, crooks, and maybe they were trying to say, hang on a second. Actually, I have more information on it. I'll get into it.
Okay.
I have a lot of back and forth arguments going on here that I did with myself that we can have openly for the podcast. So I'll get to those.
May I join you in this argument?
Yes, I would love for you to join myself on this argument. Many reviewers regarded the book as being one-sided, echoing skeptics who saw rational explanations behind the otherworldly claims of the Smurl family. So basically, the skeptics step in and say, no, this stuff didn't happen. Were the experiences legitimate, or was it all a fabrication? That's what I'm leading into now, is the controversy of the story that I was talking about much earlier. So these are letters. CSICOP. It's an acronym, and it stands for the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal. Did you even know that shit existed?
No.
Not me either. This is 100%.
Does it still exist today? Do you know?
I don't think so. because they had changed their acronym to CSI, and I'm pretty sure that stands for something else.
That's copyrighted. You can't.
Right,
do that.
exactly. Right? You can't be crime scene investigators. No. So, but they shortened it to CSI. I don't know if they're still around. If they are, then we would probably have heard much more about them with everything that we're interested in.
I've Googled or looked up about real research people out there that would challenge the stuff that you have, because we don't put a whole lot of edit on the evidence that we get. Right. So by all means, you may fucking have it, and you tell me how this voice got here or how this happened or whatever. So I look for those kind of things from time to time. So I just wonder, because I'm like, can I start sending them a bunch of emails?
There is one guy out there, and maybe he's part of this committee that once existed, and maybe it's just all him now.
Everyone else went and got real jobs.
Possibly, yeah. But I don't know if you've ever heard of James Randi or not. This guy is a very interesting man. He's a magician, illusionist, and a skeptic. And he's Canadian, but his big deal was that he was like a debunker of the supernatural. And there was a TV show a long time ago. This guy's really fucking interesting. And people would come on there and they would do things that they would produce. I can produce this for you. It's got to be paranormal. And he would point out all of the reasons why it wasn't paranormal and totally call them that person out. Basically, whoever that other person was would be completely discredited from whatever it was that they were doing, because James Randi pointed out all of the logical things why this couldn't be happening, and they would be verified as true. There was like this one guy, I don't even remember his name, but he could bend spoons with his mind. James Randi was able to figure out how he was doing it and totally blared it all out there on stage and everything, where everyone was able to see it firsthand. This is how this guy's doing it. And this guy's career just like tanked, like right then and there. And it was like, it was one of those things you saw. He was just standing there. He's standing there with the spoon. All of a sudden the spoon would go, you know, your mind would be blown. And James Randi, he pulled it out. So I don't know if he's related at all to the CSI COP, whatever. But he's an interesting fellow. Definitely an interesting debunker. He also offered, this is something that the number one skeptic in my house likes to point out often. He offered up a kind of like a bounty back in the day, and I think it was like $10,000, and I think it's increased now because now it's 2008. What are we? 2019. But like back in the day, and this was back in the 80s, I think it was like $10,000 for anyone that could show undefiable proof of the existence of the paranormal. That he would just give him $10,000. And now I think he's up the ante because, the years have gone by and $10,000 isn't as much. But to him, it's got to just appear. You got to be able to call it and it appears. You can't just he's not an investigator. He's not going to go out and do that sort of thing.
But I call humongous horseshit on that because, for one thing, ghosts don't perform on will.
That's the number one problem. That's why James Randi says that he can never pay this money out.
But also, if I bring you a recording and I said, Chris and I were the only people in the room, and now here's this man's voice.
How do you explain that? And I understand where skeptics come in with the whole spirit box thing, because, like, again, you're introducing something into the environment that comes up with these, and it's a radio frequency kind of a thing. Sure, fine, whatever. It's just a tool. It's a technique that people use to try and communicate. But we don't just use that and base our research off of that. We go off of everything else that's going on too.
We are super skeptical of the spirit box.
We have to be.
We love the idea of owning an Ovilus because it's clear. It spells it out for you, the word it's saying. So we don't have to be like, did that say Mary or Satan? I can't remember.
That's what happened.
What happened? So an Ovilus would be like, Satan, Mary. You could read it. It's great. But it's also a machine that has a database of words. So you tell me a ghost can manipulate it, and I think maybe it can just be manipulated. Maybe it just has a running dialogue in it that it's going to throw out words. you know? So we don't trust even Mr. McFeely, our Boo Bear. He's not 100% trusted until something else is followed up with it. I'm sorry, we got way off the page.
That's okay. This is a paranormal podcast for a reason.
I'm not against people questioning stuff. Like I just said, I would love to send our stuff to other people and you try to tell me what you think's going on.
Right. So going back into the conspiracy theories, the controversy mostly of this story, where people are getting kind of pissed off and they want a piece of the action. So CSIOP Chairman Paul Kurtz offered to investigate the Smurl haunting because of the attention the case garnered and because the Warrens were involved. You know, they're a big name. He wrote a report about their findings called A Haunting in West Pittston? ? Not a ghost of chance. And it appeared in the 1986, somewhere between the 1986-87 issue of something called The Skeptical Inquiry. Where the fuck is this? Because I need it. I need it in my house.
Yeah.
I need something that angers me while I'm sitting on the toilet, maybe getting a ghost flush.
No, man. Any kind of answers that we could get would be nice.
Right. So put your fucking Sherlock Holmes hats on, everyone. You know, those are badass. Kurt sent 2 teams of investigators to West Pittston. When they arrived, they claimed to have been denied access to the house by the Warrens. Although the Smurls gave one of the teams permission to investigate the houses.
The houses? What is 2 houses? It's a duplex.
I meant to say the haunting claims, though. Whatever. CSI members, because remember, it's CSI for Paranormal Activity somehow, whatever.
Got it.
They reported to have an extensive phone interview with the Smurls, their neighbors, and reporters working on the case. Kurtz believed the hauntings were a hoax for the following reasons. Dawn, which was one of the kids, the oldest one, she told him Jack had brain surgery 3 years before these incidents began, which the brain surgery was done to relieve water on the brain.
Oh.
And unfortunately, that might ultimately contribute to him having delusions, right?
Yeah.
That is a very legitimate thing. But that's just Jack, okay?
Right.
I'm on board with that. Yeah. He saw a succubus, but all the other girls were getting fucking attacked.
Yes, by the black silhouette.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Totally separate thing from what he was seeing.
Right.
And they had all claimed they were being attacked. They didn't all have brain surgery, so.
Nope, just him. So that shit that he was witnessing could have legitimately been because he had some stuff going on, which is unfortunate because when that did happen to him, that's when he was finally on board with what was going on in the house. Before then, like everything that was going on, he was just like, meh, it's this. You're crazy. You got bruised this. I don't know. Somebody bit you, I'm sure, at school, or maybe you did it to yourself. Anyways.
Yes. Typical dude. So,
right?
Got it.
Right.
Until it happens to him, he's like, you're crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Oh, no, you're crazy, motherfucker.
Also, the neighbors had complained to the town officials for years about foul stenches originating from a sewer pipe that happened to be situated very close to the Smurls' home. This could have been the source of the odors that the Smurls had reported in the house.
Fair.
In addition, there were intermittent... I don't like this one at all, but I'm going to tell you because it's part of the story. There were intermittent settling of homes in the area due to layers of underground mine veins, which Kurtz claimed could have caused things to move and other disturbances.
Okay. Yeah. So that's fine. Still not all the claim. Doesn't answer all the claims.
Everything. I just don't. Yeah, exactly. That's my whole next argument about that is I felt that was kind of a cop-out theory because I don't think that they would have heard voices because of shit moving in the house.
No, they wouldn't see silhouettes. Their TV wouldn't explode. Their toilet wouldn't be scratched because of these things. The wall shaking. The wall shaking thing. Fine. That would happen.
Exactly. I think that there were some like underlying things actually happening. But there were also some paranormal things happening and they both kind of mesh together. So it gives it gives some logical thinkers credence to those logical things. And they're saying, oh, okay, well, then all the rest of this shit's bullshit because this
I
is
disproved
clear.
This one thing. Yeah.
Kurtz wrapped up his story pointing out that this story could have been made with the intention of possible financial gain and could have caused the hoax as well. Within days of the story about the alleged haunting making national news, a witness allegedly reported seeing Jack negotiating with Scranton businessman Ralph Lama, head of the Star Group. I assume that means like the Star reporter, but I don't know because I don't know what the Star Group is. Jack initially denied this, but Loma confirmed he tried to get exclusive rights to the story about the case, which, I mean, I would too, being that I lived through it. I'd want exclusive rights to it.
Yeah, if everybody's talking about it and questioning it, I mean, why not?
Right? Why not? In November, St. Martin's Press proclaimed that it signed a book contract with the Smurls. So they are going to get their book deal after all. Ed Warren, in attempts to defend his refusal to allow the CSI team to investigate the Smurls' home, called a press conference. He claimed he had tapes of terrifying sounds and a videotape of the dark form in the duplex, which I assume that everybody probably knows. The Warrens, when they were doing their paranormal investigations, would go with their ghost hunting equipment at the time, which was like, I mean, their audio recorder was like one of those huge reels on it was ridiculous. You had to carry this, 45-pound thing into someone's home and clonk, set it down.
Like with the actual spinning tapes on each one.
Put the tapes on each one. Yeah. Hit the record button, which was like a switch. Like you're going to electrocute somebody. And then it would start going. And then when you play the shit backwards, you hear shh and tons of words. But it's shh in the meantime. I hate it. I hate it so much for them thinking about their paranormal investigating because it must have just driven them fucking bonkers. I mean, I listen to our stuff at hours upon end and it's just silent. There's nothing happening. It's just silent. So all you have to do is wait for a whisperer, but you're just listening to basically silence. They had to listen to
that would put me to sleep like a sound machine.
Right. It's totally white noise. Though, when they asked Ed Warren to produce those tapes, fortunately, he was unable to recall the name of the TV company which he gave the tapes to.
What?
He said the Catholic Church had all the evidence, though. So
suspicious.
I tried. It is suspicious. And I tried my best to leave it open-ended because there's a lot of people's personal opinions that are kind of getting in the way of actually reporting the facts. So this story is very hard to do because of it. And that's legitimately all the controversy of this case that I have for you. As far as the controversy goes, I take it all with a grain of salt. Of course, the controversy absolutely exists here. I mean, somebody reached out to the reporters and they ended up getting a book and a movie deal out of it.
It was all hearsay on their side too. No one witnessed this but people that made money off of it and the Catholic Church. And I'm not sure they count. Like they just don't, like, they're not going to speak on this. And then they have to have a good reason to be there. So they're not going to be like, no, we didn't see anything going on, but we kept getting harassed. And so we just showed up and, they're going to say our reasons were justified because they're supposed to be for us to be there. So they're going to be on board for it. Everybody else is making money off of it as well. Not a single person that didn't make a dime had apparently witnessed this. So.
Oh, right. Right, exactly. You're absolutely right. The people that didn't witness shit, they're going to rip apart every ounce of the story because they want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
They still want to be a part of it.
You don't trust people necessarily that had this traumatic thing happen to them and then they turn around and write a book about it so that they can make money. But at the same time, I mean, if you think about, wow, when I look back, my life was kind of rocky, but it was fucking interesting. I should write a book about it. I mean, that's what a lot of people that write biographies are doing. So
right, exactly.
Theirs just happens to be on such a supernatural level.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I also learned that the Smurl's daughter, Karen, has become more interested in the paranormal and is a paranormal investigator. She has been asked about these past events and recalls that in no way did her parents lie, nor would they have lied about the events that took place. But sure, like you might say, what the hell else would she say? Right? I mean, she not only...
I don't know. She could hate her parents and be like, yeah, they're fucking liars. But why
would but her name would have been dragged through the mud at this point.
And she also would not be into paranormal investigating unless she was trying to make a dime off of it, unless she was trying to make a dime off of her family's story and get into the paranormal. If that's not her case and she's doing it to help families or whatnot, then she's doing it because she was affected as a child, just like myself, just like you. Right. So that type thing.
Right. I agree with that. But I guess it just all comes down to what you believe in. And without any hard proof, what can you say? It's an interesting story that may or may not have actually happened. But when it comes down to it, would there really ever be enough proof for someone that is a hardened skeptic to become a believer without living through it themselves?
No.
And I say no. I say no. You took the word right out of my mouth.
No, people don't believe this shit unless it happens to them.
Right, exactly. When we started out investigating many, many years ago, I personally was just interested in trying to figure out what was really out there. I had an open mind and just an eagerness to understand more of the claims that were just like this. I never, ever could have predicted the things that I would have encountered during our investigations into the paranormal. What happened to the Smurls seems terrifying to me on so many levels. And with all joking aside, if their story actually depicts true events, then what the hell could actually be out there waiting for you?
Oh, we don't want any of that. No, I think we've proven we can't handle that.
I know.
Like some silhouettes in the kitchen, I see you, that type thing. That's fine.
Right.
But opening crawling. Oh, yeah. That's cool too.
I'm cool with that.
Scratch the toilet if you want. I mean, as long as I'm not on it.
I've
already expressed my dislike for flushing the toilet while I'm on it. Don't scratch it. Leave me alone. This is, private time. Anyways.
It's private time.
Yeah. But
for sure,
the attacks that they were receiving towards the end when it really escalated and stuff, that shit is where we don't ever want to be. Like,
no,
we're not that type of people that are going out there and like, come at me, bro.
Right.
No, negative.
We are not come at me, bro, people.
No, and I'm cool with, hey, spirit, you want to show your presence? Touch my arm, touch my hand. I think even if in the past I might have said, push us. If you can do that, push us or whatever. But I don't want sexual assaults. I don't. Nope. Negative on that. This is to the extreme that we wouldn't be able to handle. And I don't know if this stuff ever happened to us. Would it completely turn us off to the paranormal? We'd be like done with that shit.
I think if it happened to us, we would be like setting up cameras everywhere. I'd be like, look, I can't come into work today.
I would not be coming into work today.
That's another thing. Like I'm saying, like these people were financially strapped. Well, of course they fucking were. They were getting like demonic
out of their house.
They couldn't go anywhere. The fucking shit was following them everywhere. I mean, I wouldn't, necessarily want to follow me to work, but whatever. These people were just totally trying to be cool about it. Right. They really were. They were a very devoted Catholic family. They were church-going people. They had the whole pew because there was like 8 of them, So they were there. Yeah. And then everybody turned their backs on them because they thought that they were making this shit up just so that they could get a movie and a book deal, which how could you, if this was really happening to you, I'm sorry, but I would totally hate people after this. I would just be like, fuck all y'all. I'm done. I got my movie and my book deal and this shit happened to me and it's horrible and I hate all of you.
Well, nobody else would be able to relate with you. Nobody understands it. So, that's how these bonds form in paranormal investigating. With the people we meet for one night, you experience this place, this haunted place, this unique experience together. And that cements your relationship with these people to continue into social, on social media and stuff. And I think it's all because you went through that. So like nobody believes you. Nobody gets it because it hasn't happened to them. So yeah, fuck the rest of the world. You don't care. If I can get a book deal out of it, then fine. I might as well. Nobody wants to be my friend anyway. So like,
got my book deal. Whatever. I'm done.
I'll just like, what's the duck that would swim in his own money and stuff?
Scrooge?
Was he Scrooge? He
Scrooge
was.
McDuck?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Fine. We're all
I
Scrooge
thought
McDuck.
that, and I was like, is that right? Oh, but yeah. Didn't need anybody else. I mean, like, nobody would believe them anyways. Nobody gets what they went through, so might as well. But also at the same time, they could have made all this shit up. We don't know. We don't know them.
We don't know.
We don't know what happened. Like you said, it was an interesting enough story to share and to spike debate on how you feel about that. When somebody tells you these crazy ass stories, what's your first reaction?
Right. A lot of people with this story immediately go to bashing on the Warrens, which is why like I teetered on actually any story that I'm going to bring to this podcast that has the Warrens involved has a controversy like assigned to it. A controversy is just around it because nobody really believes them. It's a medium and this guy, it's like I said earlier, it's like the Steve and Amy, only Steve and Amy aren't married. They didn't have this, other relationship like Ed and Lorraine did.
And they've got a museum and they've got books and they've got TV shows or movie deals. They've made money off of what they're doing. And so they're just like Ghost Adventures, just like Amy and Steve. They're all going to get criticized. And I'm not trying to protect them at all. I don't know them. Oh, I just did a weird internal burp.
Me too. I did it at the same time. Like yours went brr, and I
that's weird. See, we're connected. People are going to criticize them, and I'm not defending them. I'm just saying you can see where the haters hang out. But hey, I would like to know where's the proof, sir?
Right.
Ed, where's the video? Where's the audio tapes? Oh, you don't have them anymore? How convenient.
I mean, who knows? That was just one person's side of the story. It might be in their museum with Raggedy Ann, who's also known as Annabelle. Who knows? I mean, they kept every fucking thing. They were like me. They were collectors. They like to hold on to that haunted shit and just lock it away in their basement, aka museum.
Oh, right.
But I don't know. It's fun to me because I'm thoroughly intrigued by the Warrens. I love that dynamic as much as I love any entertainment paranormal group that's on TV. Anybody that's going to bring it to light and show it for what they feel that it is, I want to further investigate it now. Not to the extent of James Randi. I'm not like, I'll give you $1 million if you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt life exists after death. No, I'm not that person. I'll go and do my best to research it like we did in our various places.
And that's what we're doing too. That's why we tend to go to places that you've seen on TV and stuff like that, because we want to. It was so extreme on TV. Well, let's go experience it for ourselves. And we do walk away with evidence. Is it to the level of the shit that's on TV? No. But there's something weird going on there, and we're not people that can include special effects or anything. So how did this happen? I'd love for somebody to look at our stuff and try to give us reasons. I mean, I don't know Ed and Lorraine, but they're a big part of the paranormal community. So they're kind of like these historic figures, whether they're fake or not. They're controversial.
They're controversial.
Can't say that.
For
Thank
sure.
you. You say it.
They're like Ma and Pa of paranormal.
Right. And Ma and Pa might be full of shit, but aren't they interesting to know a little bit more about, because they're a part of the history of this community or whatever. So whether they're full of shit or not, they're good people to talk about because they've made an impact on this community.
They were, like you said earlier, they're the pioneers of this whole thing.
They brought it out, and whether they did it for money or they got some real skills, I'm not really sure. I guess maybe one day we'll meet them, maybe not.
I would love to. She's not that far away from me. It's just,
And then maybe we can get a vibe and find out if they're full of shit or if there's something really weird going on with them. And then maybe they really do have some kind of powers. But it's all about exploring it for yourself. Like reading these stories, finding them out, going and seeking it yourself and experience it so you can report back on it.
And that was 100% the point of my entire story today. Was get out there and experience it yourself, because sitting back, it's so easy to sit back and be a critic. It's so easy. I mean, you're a critic every day. You watch the shows on TV and you're like, oh, that's bullshit. But get out there and experience it. If you're a ghost hunter, get out there and fucking investigate.
Right. Don't take our word for it. We know we're never going to sell you on it. You've got to get out and experience yourself. So thank you.
That's all I wanted to get out with this episode. Like I said, it was entirely a controversial story. The Haunted. It's a terrible made-for-TV movie. Probably a good book. I don't know. I never read it. But you're right, exactly. I'm sure I am gonna bet that it's like their other books where it's like a question and answer kind of a thing. Somebody asks, somebody answers, and it's very boring. But get out there and explore. I mean, you're listening to our podcast because you have this interest. I mean, shit's out there wherever you're located.
Yeah.
There are places. You just have to look on the internet and find them. I mean, I moved to New England because of the history out here. And there's thousands of things that I could do on a regular basis and research. And same for Wendy and her move to Arizona. But it's not just Arizona and New Hampshire. You're in Iowa. You're in Nevada. You're in wherever the hell you are, Illinois. I mean, there's
Kentucky.
Places out.
That was a new state for us. I just on our somebody in Kentucky downloaded our podcast.
Really?
We know there's haunted shit there.
Oh yes. What's the name of the bar? Yeah. Thank you, Bobby Mackey's. We stopped at Bobby Mackey's, and I
got EVPs out the door, like just on the property next to the building.
No, and I had to get my appendix removed after visiting. So Bobby Mackey's is cray. Apparently, I can't go back without having to have another surgery. Just so you know, that place is beautiful, by the way.
Most of the time, we're telling you of places that you can go and explore. And that's the point of it. This is a travel podcast, really. We're just telling you the hot spots that we may have experienced or we're deeply interested in. And you should go out and seek it for yourself. It's not scary. Not all of them are full of incubuses. That might have just been water on his brain. Don't worry about it.
Right. Unless you're, looking for that sort of thing.
That's weird. But you should not do that. You need to get on like soulmate.com, I don't know, or whatever. Don't be calling on succubuses and incubuses for fun.
Yeah, right.
Nope. That's weird because they're demons and they have bad dental hygiene. That's horrible. So let's wrap this shit up. So shout out to previous podcasts before we end this.
I was wondering when you were going to bring this up.
I meant to do it in the beginning, and then I just where are we? And then we started.
Because we were talking for
ever. Anyways, so on a previous podcast, this was one of my so much fun podcasts to do. It was I've lost my Swedish accent. From a Gordon. It was from a Gordon in Sweden. And when we posted that episode just a few weeks ago, somebody from Sweden, pretty certain, a lot of her messages are in Swedish with the little circles above things.
Yes.
She said that she had been there. She said she went there for an overnight last year, and she heard knocks, steps. She saw orbs, the piano playing.
She saw orbs with her own eyeballs.
Yes.
Damn.
And on this, she heard the piano playing on the second floor, and then she got scratches on her back in the cellar that we were like, is it a demon or is it little kids? What's going on? The bad energy from the dad that killed his kids, whatever. She got scratches on her back down there. So it's definitely something bad.
That's pretty much everything that you had talked about in your episode happening.
Totally. So she either copycat it from the episode or she really experienced this shit and this place is legit. And if you're in Sweden, you can visit it and get scratches on your back if you'd like.
I love it. Oh my God.
And there's an incubus there. So, but
I would like to
just thought we should. And her name, I'm gonna screw it up, and maybe I just shouldn't even try. Okay, but I really appreciate you sending me this post. It's like, I don't know. It's like Annie. I don't know.
She posted on the Spirit Emporiums.
Yes, she's on the Instagram. Spirit Emporiums page, so you can see the comment there, and you can get her name if you wanted to ask her more questions from a Gordon, because that place is cool as shit. So, but thank you guys for listening to the podcast, following us on social media. Our the Spirit Emporiums Instagram page, I post a lot on that, but also our pages on COTN _paranormal on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you have anything to add to this story, some Ed and Lorraine Warren stories, or if you lived in Pennsylvania and you know what we're talking about, then or just any story, we'd share it on the podcast if you share it with us. And so we also have a Gmail account, and it is creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com. So
please email us or Instagram us as soon as this story drops. Is that the right term? As soon as our podcast is out there, extraterrestrial and whatever, as soon as this drops, I'm going to Instagram it. I would love to hear what you think about this story. So definitely, please respond to the Instagram post. That'd be awesome. So we can talk about it on our next story.
Awesome. My bladder's going to explode. So
me too.
Let's do this. Please. Bye.
Bye. Peace out. Sage out.